Madam President, I pause because I have to take a few big breaths after this long. I wish to present the following motion, standing in my name. Whereas it is provided under Section 63(1)(a) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 1501, the Act, that the Minister of Finance may, by an affirmative resolution of Parliament, borrow from a bank or other financial institution for the capital or current expenditure of government. And whereas it is further provided under Section 64 of the Act that money borrowed by the government must be paid into and form part of the consolidated fund. And whereas the Minister of Finance considered it necessary to borrow from the Saudi Fund for Development the sum of Saudi Riyals 281,250,000 to finance the reconstruction of rehabilitation of the St. Jude Hospital project. And whereas the loan is repayable in 20 years after the grace period of 5 years from the date of the loan agreement, commencing on the 15th day of May and the 15th day of November in each year after the grace period. And whereas interest at a rate of 2% per annum is payable semi-annually on the principal amount of the loan withdrawn and outstanding. Be it resolved that Parliament authorizes the Minister of Finance to borrow from the Saudi Fund for Development the sum of Saudi Riyals 281,250,000 to finance the reconstruction of and rehabilitation of the St. Jude Hospital project. Be it further resolved that A, the loan is repayable in 20 years after the grace period of 5 years from the date of the loan agreement, commencing on the 15th day of May and the 15th day of November in each year after the grace period. B, interest at a rate of 2% per annum is payable semi-annually on the principal amount of the loan withdrawn and outstanding. Madam President, I'll proceed with explanation once the lectern is in place. So, Madam President, I just read with quite a lot of relief and expectation the motion that we seek to present to this honorable chamber today to secure finance for a project that I believe every St. Lucian, every right-thinking St. Lucian will agree needs to be completed for the benefit of the people of this country. Madam President, we are here a few days after the 14th anniversary of the St. Jude Hospital fire. And I remember that period because my second son was born just a few months ahead of that fire at the maternity and was at the pediatric ward of the St. Jude Hospital. And it is also a hospital that my family, myself being from the south, have been going to for our medical services. Madam President, you will recall that after this fire, of course, the United Workers' Party government was then in office. There were efforts to mobilize support from all agencies, from schools. Children gave their lunch money. St. Lucians really saw a need to come together and provide support and reach out to make whatever contribution they could so that this facility could have been rebuilt for the benefit of our people. Madam President, that was back then around September 12, 2029. Some even tried to call it a 999, but it was a 1299. Because these days you have a lot of superstition and all kinds of things creeping in. And we have seen successive administrations attempting to complete this task. Our people, 14 years later, I believe, want to hear that there is a final resolution to this issue. And today, what we are here to do is to achieve that. We are here to get approval for this Parliament, Lower House and Senate to make this happen and to deliver this facility to our people. Also, Madam President, after the fire, the patients had to be moved to the premier sporting facility in the south. And I, at the time, I am still being a sports administrator, someone fully immersed in the fraternity of the sporting disciplines in my community, in the country, and in the south. I too understood what it meant to us sports people when our premier sporting facility had to be a makeshift hospital. While we understood that it was a crisis, but we believe that the sports people of the South have suffered as well, having to give up that facility, the George Odlum Stadium, to accommodate the patients and the nurses, doctors, and other medical staff. And so this loan also seeks to ensure that the sporting facility, the George Odlum facility, gets rehabilitation done on it, so that while we deliver the hospital, we are also delivering the sporting facility back to the sports people of this country. Madam President, one of the key issues is that successive governments have indicated that they had challenges coming up with the funds, or the sufficient funds to complete the project. While we know that there have been efforts to secure the funds, it is also true that had some of that been done properly, had some of this mobilization of funding been directed where they should have been directed, had there been proper and prudent management of this, today, 14th September 2023, we would not have been here trying to get this project completed. And so, Madam President, I want to let you know that this effort is one where our government, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, Honorable Philip Joseph Pierre, did not take an approach of allocating or making an allocation in the annual budget to do parts of the hospital each year. That could have been an approach, as is what is normally done, that you have annual allocations and each year you put something towards the project. But instead, another approach was taken. We didn't say that we're going to be doing one wing each year, or that we're going to do one building every 6 months. What we've decided to do is to secure the funding to complete the project in its entirety. Madam President, we understand that this back and forth that has gone on with this project needs to come to an end. And we know that this project is way too important, that we have decided to seek a secure source of funding that will make all the necessary issues that we have faced, the challenges of securing funding, completion of each wing, each building, and the entire hospital possible. Provisions, Madam President, have been made within that facility to ensure that state-of-the-art equipment and technology will be used to ensure that this hospital serves a purpose and a standard that we in this country deserve. Madam President, I must also inform you that the contractor who is going to complete this hospital is a St. Lucian, a local contractor. So we have the capacity in this country, we know we do, and we are not afraid to engage our people with the capacity to complete the projects that we have. Madam President, let us look at the terms and conditions of this loan. This loan was negotiated very, very carefully. You know, we do not just go out there when monies are available and jump at it and just grab without carefully considering the conditions and the terms that these loans come with. Because once these loans are secured, the taxpayers of this country, the average St. Lucian, you and I, Madam President, members of the opposition, the police officers, the farmers, everybody will have a responsibility to pay back. And so we ensured that we negotiated the terms and conditions of this loan in the most favorable way that we could for the people of this country. And so, in this loan, we have a 5-year grace period. What it means, Madam President, is that we start paying the loan 5 years after the loan has been secured. And I will repeat that in Creole. Madam President, loan ça là nous ka parler di bon matin. Gouvernement pas aller acheter l'argent ça là vaille-ti-vaille. Parce que l'argent là nous fait assurer qui l'argent ça là il y a 5 l'année avant le gouvernement commence à payer l'argent ça là. Madam President, by that time, I believe that the hospital would have been complete. We would have had a completed hospital before we even start paying back on that loan. Ça veut dire, Madam President, avant de commencer à payer loan ça là, nous avons un hôpital qui a fini. So you would have the full product in your hand before you even start paying for it. Madam President, what about the interest rate on that loan? Having negotiated a 5-year grace period, we've negotiated the interest rate which is probably as competitive as you could get anywhere, or probably more competitive than you can get anywhere. We are familiar with the LIBOR rates, which are between 5 and 7%. This loan comes at an interest rate of 2%. Madame Président, l'argent ça là nous ka joindre pour faire l'hôpital là et puis pour manger stadium vieux fort. Nous pas qu'à prêter éclater 5%, 7%, 13%, nous t'en dit à la loan 13%. Nous qu'à prêter et puis on l'été 2% seulement. 2% tout seul. And if you do the savings of, if you take 7 and you subtract 2, 5%. 5% of the amount stated here, over 75 million US. I know we have some good math people there. Madam President, that is somewhere in the range of $20 to $25 million that we're saving because of the rate that we've negotiated. Madam President, not only have we negotiated a 2% interest rate, Madam President, we also have in this loan a disaster clause. As we know, climate change is something that we have no control over. We understand that natural disasters can come in and wipe away our entire GDP overnight. Before I presented the papers, Madam President, I did make reference to a disaster that almost took the life of my niece, where overnight something unforeseen can happen. Can you imagine being 95% complete with that project and then you have a hurricane? Blows away everything, destroys everything, and you have to start from scratch. Well, Madam President, in this loan, there is a disaster clause that gives us a moratorium so that if, God forbid, something were to happen, that we have a bit of breathing space and we can get things going again without putting too much pressure on this government. I do not know many projects and loans for projects of that magnitude in this country that we have successfully negotiated with a disaster clause, especially for a small vulnerable country like St. Lucia, which, as you know, in Windward Islands and Leeward Islands, is right in the hurricane belt. So, Madam President, I think the terms and conditions of this loan are as good as you can ever get. Madam President, the funds can be used up to the year 2028. So there is some flexibility. Again, if there is an issue and you have to delay, the project is delayed for some reason that is beyond our control, we are now in 2022. We still have, 2023, sorry. We still have a period, we have a period of about 5 years within which we can actually make use of the funding. So there is no pressure on us to try and finish by a particular time if it becomes necessary. And I pray God that it will not become necessary. So, Madam President, we understand that in this process we are fulfilling a dual purpose. We are first completing a health facility for the people of the South and the people of this country. We are also rehabilitating a sporting facility that has served as a makeshift for that medical facility. As we speak, the metal is being removed on the St. Jude Hospital, so the process is on. We are at the National Stadium, that is, the George Odlum Stadium, and we are doing so with the cooperation of the staff of the hospital. So I want to take the opportunity to thank the staff of the St. Jude Hospital and those in charge of the patients for the understanding as we try to deal with that situation. We are, of course, ensuring that it brings them minimal discomfort and inconvenience. Madam President, we know that St. Lucians have eagerly awaited this day. And above all that we do, above all the arguments that we present, I think that what all of us want most is to see the completion of this project. All of us. And if you ask any St. Lucian, big, small, anybody who has been listening to all the deliberations on this project for the last 14 years, they will tell you that what they want most is that the hospital is completed for their use. And so, Madam President, this motion seeks to do that. Madam President, ça nous ka fait aujourd'hui, c'est nous ka fait assurer, nous joindre l'argent pour pas faire morceau, pas faire yon dans ces buildings là, mais pour nous finir l'hôpital St. Jude. Yon fois, by Jean Sud Pays et puis by Jean Saint-Lucie, et puis aussi pour finir et puis ranger Stadium Sports là, pour ces jeunes gens là, jouer un côté pour y faire des affaires sportives. And so, Madam President, I look forward to the day, very soon, when we will be able to deliver the sporting facility and, most importantly, the St. Jude Hospital for the people of the South and the people of this country. I thank you, Madam President.